Member, for this important hearing. I thank you, all the panelists. I appreciate all of your comments. I say this time and again, Nevada, my home state, has 85% of federal public land and has the largest mining program on public land in the country. It supports nearly 33,000 jobs in the state. It's a key contributor to our economy. It's a social safety net for many rural and remote communities in my state. So as we are having this conversation, we take the necessary steps to address climate change. I agree. We have to do so in a fashion that makes America more productive, secure, and self-reliant. At a very basic level, this means we have to produce minerals in the United States and not solely rely on foreign sources. And I think we've all been talking about that. Here's my conundrum, and I'm hopeful I'm going to ask the Deputy Secretary this first question. I understand the administration has this all-government approach to addressing our future security needs when it comes to our clean energy, including as it pertains to mining. But here's my struggle. Just last week, the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Committee imposed new limits, or actually proposed imposing new limits on eligible entities to be considered for the Fast 41 expedited permitting process. The Council's proposed limits would remove mining as a covered sector and limiting eligibility to just critical mineral projects. What does that mean? That means that copper mines would be ineligible despite a critical material, being a critical material according to the Secretary of Energy. So how can this happen just after the report that was put out that said mining is critical to our future and our needs? Can you address what is happening? It seems like the administration, even though they have this all-government approach, many pillars of it are not talking to one another. And I don't know if you have a response, Mr. Boudreau, but I would sure love to hear one. Yeah,
no, thanks very much. I do have a response. I actually participated in a FIPSI meeting yesterday where talked about specifically this issue. And so on the one hand, the proposal to include mining as a covered activity under FAST 41, I think, is very positive. And that's what it is. It's a proposal to do that. It is a draft, and we are having exactly that conversation about whether these sort of parameters around qualification are the appropriate ones. And so we do hear you on that, and it's an active conversation and one that I will carry forward into the Steering Council.
Thank you. And let me put one other thing out there, because I know the new proposal specifically identifies USGS critical mineral list for utilization. But unless I'm wrong, Department of Energy and the Department of Defense have their own lists of strategic and critical materials that are central to our energy and national security that include more minerals that are on that USGS critical mineral list. So how is that? Hopefully there's a coordination around these so that all of the agencies are working together as well and not limiting access to these essential minerals that we need.
Yeah. So I think part of the complexity there is distinctions between, energy-related minerals and other types of minerals. So, for example, on the USGS list, they don't include, uranium, plutonium, et cetera. I agree with you that having a multitude of lists about what's critical and applying, that adjective creates a lot of confusion. And so I do think, bringing perspective into sourcing as opposed to whether you're on the list or off the list makes sense.
Thank you. Excuse me. And so, Mr. Compton, I only have a few seconds left, but I have a couple of questions with respect to the Interagency Working Group Mining Reform Report. You touched on one, the distinction between the claim location system and the leasing system. Can you talk about also the 7 cents per ton tax on moving unprocessed ore? Because it may sound good, but what does it actually mean in practical implementation?
Thank you for the question. In all due respect, I'm not sure that it even sounds good. We affectionately, or maybe not so affectionately, refer to that as a dirt tax. there really is no explanation for why there would be a tax just for moving dirt, or how many times that dirt movement is taxed. I mean, because you move overburden several times throughout a mining process. So 7 cents per ton may sound like a minuscule amount, but when you consider the massive amounts of earth that is needed to move to uncover some of these deposits, we have estimated that it would cost several $100 million per year to the mining industry, much of which obviously would be in Nevada.
And moving dirt is not unique, or excuse me, is part of the hard rock mining process, isn't that correct?
You cannot unearth these deposits without it. Yeah.
Thank you. My time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, Senator.